Hey Reddit. I don't even know why I'm typing this. I guess I need to scream into the void, or maybe someone needs to hear it so they can see the signs I missed. I'm sitting in my perfectly decorated suburban living room, the one we painted serene sky blue together, and everything in it feels like a museum exhibit of a life that's already over. My husband, David, is working late again. Except now I know what that really means. We've been married for 12 years. 2 kids, Lily, 10, and Noah, 7. The classic American dream package. David is the considerate one. The man who brings me coffee in my favorite mug every morning without fail. Who remembers my mom's birthday when I forget. Who rubbed my feet for 3 hours straight when I was pregnant with Noah and they were so swollen I cried. He's the guy who does the school run every Tuesday and Thursday because he loves that quiet time with the kids. That's what made it so impossible to see. The infidelity wasn't a neglect, it was woven into the fabric of his extreme consideration. The first sign was the phone. It never left his body. It went from charging on the nightstand to living in his pocket, screen down. He'd get texts at 11 p.m., sigh and say, Jenkins from work is panicking again. I'll just go deal with this in the office so the light doesn't bother you. He'd kiss my forehead. Considerate. The second sign was the new cologne. Something crisp and oceanic. Just felt like a change, babe, he'd said, smiling that easy smile. He started going to the gym more, too. Gotta keep up with you, he'd tease, patting the slight softness of my stomach I'd gotten from carrying his children. He said it with love. It felt like love. But the beginning of the end was last Tuesday. Lily had a crucial PTA meeting about the 5th grade science fair. David always handled these. You handle the bedtime stories, I'll handle the bureaucratic stuff, was our deal. But that day, he came home looking pale, gripping his phone. A massive crisis at the office, he said, his voice tight with what I now know was panic. I have to go back. I'm so sorry. Can you cover the meeting? It's at 6:30 in the school library. I was annoyed, but I went. I walked into the brightly lit library, the smell of old books and lemon-scented cleaner filling the air. The other parents were milling around. And then I saw her. Miss Evangeline, the new art teacher. She was standing by the door to the art studio, which adjoined the library. She wasn't dressed for a PTA meeting. She was wearing a tight, low-cut black cocktail dress, the kind that screams date night, not education funding. Her hair was down in glossy waves, and her makeup was impeccable. She was nervously checking her phone, then the clock, then the main entrance. She was waiting for someone. And the look on her face, it wasn't anxiety about missing a meeting. It was the jittery, breathless anticipation of a woman waiting for a lover. A cold stone settled in my gut. I found a seat in the back, my heart hammering against my ribs. The meeting started. Miss Evangeline kept looking at the door, her smile fading with each passing minute. 10 minutes in, the door opened. Her face lit up like a sunrise, a brilliant, relieved, adoring smile. Then she saw it was just Mr. Henderson, the janitor, coming to empty a trash can. The light snuffed out. I followed her gaze to the large window that looked out onto the parking lot. I saw my own minivan, parked next to a familiar silver Audi. David's Audi. It was here. He was here. At the school. But not in this meeting. The world tilted. The principal's voice became a distant buzz. I watched as Miss Evangeline's phone screen lit up on the table beside her. A preview of a text message flashed. David, 6:48 p.m., can't make it. Emergency. So sorry, my angel. Tonight is ruined. I'm dying to see you. Angel, the word burned into my retina. My David. My considerate, coffee-making, foot-rubbing David. He'd lied to me. He'd created an emergency. He'd asked me to come here, to this specific place at this specific time, while he, watched from afar. Planned to meet her after. I felt the serene sky of my life crack. A jagged line splitting right down the middle, and a howling, dark void began to seep through. This was just the preview. The main feature of my personal tragedy was about to begin. I drove home from the school in a total blackout. I don't remember the streets, the lights, or even walking into our house. I just remember the sensory overload of my own living room, the soft hum of the refrigerator, the cozy glow of the pendant light over our farmhouse table, the faint, lingering scent of his new cologne on the throw blanket he used that morning. It all felt like a meticulously staged set. I was an actor who'd forgotten her lines. The kids were at my sister's for a sleepover, a plan made weeks ago. A strange, hollow coincidence. The house was silent, a silence that screamed. I paced from room to room, my mind replaying that look on Miss Evangeline's face, the radiant hope, the devastating crash. Asterisk my angel. Asterisk he called me honey, or babe. Never angel. I ended up in our bedroom. Our sanctuary. The room where we'd conceived our children, where we'd whispered dreams in the dark, where he'd hold me after a bad day, his heartbeat against my back a steady, reassuring drum. Now it felt contaminated. I did something I'd never done before. I went to his side of the bed, opened the drawer of his nightstand. Not to snoop, but to look for a ghost. Under a stack of thrillers he'd been meaning to read, I found it. A small, crinkled receipt from a boutique hotel in the city, dated 3 weeks prior. A Thursday. The night of his team-building overnight. My breath hitched. Next to it, a single pearl earring. Not mine. I wear gold. This was a small, perfect, cold white pearl on a delicate silver post. I held it in my palm, and it felt like holding a live coal. The garage door opener rumbled. He was home. I shoved the receipt and the earring back, my hands trembling. I sat on the edge of the bed, forcing my face into what I hoped was a mask of normalcy. He came in, looking tired but smiling his considerate smile. Hey, you. How was the meeting? He walked over, bent down, and kissed the top of my head. His lips felt like a brand. His cologne, that oceanic, foreign scent, wrapped around me. Fine, I managed, my voice thin. Boring. You missed nothing. How was the work crisis? A flicker in his eyes. So fast, I almost missed it. A shadow of something, guilt. Panic, before it was smoothed over by practice concern. Resolved. Just a lot of fire drilling. I'm beat. He started unbuttoning his shirt. I'm gonna hop in the shower. You okay? You seem quiet. Asterisk considerate. Asterisk always so goddamn considerate. Just tired, I whispered. He nodded, stripping down to his boxers. My eyes, traitorously, still found comfort in the familiar lines of his body. This was the man whose touch could unravel me. I remembered a night, maybe 2 months ago, before the new cologne, before the phone became a secret limb. We'd been reading in bed. He'd put his book down, rolled over, and just looked at me. His hand came up to cradle my jaw, his thumb stroking my cheekbone. I still look at you, he'd said, his voice husky, and my heart does this stupid, happy flip. He'd leaned in then, kissing me not with passion, but with a devastating sweetness. A slow, exploring kiss that tasted of mint tea and belonging. His hands, always so warm, slid under my sleep shirt, tracing the notches of my spine. I'd melted into him, sighing. He'd kissed my neck, my collarbone, his breath hot against my skin, and I'd arched into him, a flower-seeking sun. He'd held himself there, hovering, just breathing me in. You're my home, he'd murmured into my skin. The memory was so vivid, so tactile, the weight of him, the scratch of his stubble, the safe, solid feel of his arms around me, that it physically hurt. It was a phantom limb pain for a love that was already amputated. Now, he walked into our ensuite bathroom, and I heard the shower turn on. The ghost of his touch still on my skin, I stared at the closed door. The man in that shower, the considerate father, the dutiful husband, had another woman's pearl earring in his drawer. He had called another woman angel, while sending me to sit in a room where she waited for him in a black dress. The initial shock was hardening into something else, a sharp, crystalline clarity buried under a mountain of grief. The problem wasn't that he was a monster. The tragedy was that he was still David. And he was doing this anyway. The lie wasn't explosive betrayal shouted in anger, it was a silent, cold gas, leaking from every considerate gesture, poisoning the very air I breathed. I sat on the bed, in the room of our most intimate memories, and I began, silently, to shatter. I didn't confront him that night. I know. Some of you are screaming at your screens. But the shock was too complete. It was like watching my own life as a movie, and I was frozen in my seat. I spent the next 2 days moving through our routine like a ghost. I made lunches, signed permission slips, laughed at Noah's jokes, all while this silent, screaming cinema played behind my eyes. David was magnificent. That's the only word. He was the perfect, considerate husband dialed up to 11. He brought home my favorite sushi from the place across town. He did all the laundry without being asked, even folding my delicate things with a care that made my throat tight. He initiated sex, gentle, familiar, loving sex where he looked directly into my eyes the entire time. And all I could think was, is this penance? Or practice, ? The evidence became a living thing inside me. I needed to understand the shape of it. So, while he was at his now suspect gym session, I did the unthinkable. I accessed our shared phone bill online. There it was, a digital heartbeat of betrayal. One number, repeating dozens of times a day. Texts, calls, sometimes at 1 a.m., sometimes during his lunch break. The day of the PTA meeting. A 22-minute call at 5:45 p.m., right before he came home to tell me about his work emergency. But the real catalyst came on Friday. He'd taken the day off, a surprise, he said. Let me take the kids to school. You sleep in. Then I thought we could have a late breakfast, just us. His smile was warm, his eyes crinkling at the corners. The eyes that had once looked at me like I hung the moon. Now I wondered what constellation they were truly searching for. As he was herding the kids out the door, his phone, which was charging on the kitchen counter, buzzed. A text preview flashed on the screen. Evangeline, 7:02 a.m. Can't stop thinking about Thursday. Your hands on me in that elevator. I'm still trembling. When can I see you again, David? I'm going crazy. The world didn't tilt this time. It solidified into a block of ice in my chest. Thursday. The day he'd stayed late for a client dinner. His hands. An elevator. David laughed at something Noah said, kissed Lily's head, and glanced at his phone. He saw the notification. I watched, from the doorway, as his face went carefully, perfectly blank. He didn't open it. He just picked up the phone, slid it into his pocket, and gave me a wave. Back in a bit, babe. Considerate. He didn't want to read her longing in front of me. How thoughtful. The moment the door shut, I slid down the wall to the floor. The details were what murdered me. Not just the infidelity, but the specifics. An elevator. The hurried, risky passion of it. I thought of his hands. Those capable, familiar hands that had built IKEA furniture, and soothed fevered brows and traced the stretch marks on my hips with a reverence that made me cry. Now I imagined them on her. On the small of her back in a public elevator, pushing her against the mirrored wall. His mouth descending on hers, not with the sweet familiarity of our kisses, but with the frantic, illicit hunger of a new addiction. I imagined her hands in his hair, her body arching into his, the quiet, gasping breaths echoing in that small, moving space. The risk of it. The thrill. It was so unlike the safe, deep well of our intimacy. It was a spark on gasoline. He came back 30 minutes later, bearing croissants and a single peony, my favorite flower. For my girl, he said, his voice a soft caress. I took the flower. The petals were velvet, blood red. I looked at his hands, the same hands from the text, now arranging plates. I saw them not as the hands of my husband, but as instruments of my undoing. He had touched her, and then he had come home and touched me. He had kissed her, and then he had kissed me. He had lain with her, and then he had lain with me. The love of my life had become a Venn diagram, and I was trapped in the overlapping section, sharing space with a stranger in a black dress. The considerate man making me breakfast was a man who kept another woman's pearl earring and let her tremble for him in elevators. I finally spoke, my voice strangely calm. David. He was squeezing fresh orange juice, his back to me. We need to talk. He turned around, and in his eyes, I saw it. Not surprise. Not confusion. Just a slow, dawning resignation. The performance was ending. The curtain was coming down. We need to talk. He set the orange juice carton down slowly. The playful morning light streaming through our kitchen window felt obscene, like a spotlight on a crime scene. Okay, he said, his voice careful. He didn't ask about what. He just leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. A defensive posture, but his face was arranged into one of open, patient concern. What's on your mind, honey? Honey. Not angel. I placed the blood-red peony on the table between us. Who is Evangeline? The name hung in the air, a poison grenade whose pin I'd just pulled. I saw the exact moment it detonated inside him. A slight jerk in his shoulders, a tiny, involuntary twitch at the corner of his eye. But his face, his damnably considerate face, smoothed into a mask of confused innocence. Evangeline. Lily's art teacher. What about her? He took a step forward, his brow furrowing. Is there a problem with her class? Did Lily say something? The lie was so effortless, so seamlessly delivered, that for a split second, I doubted my own reality. Had I imagined the text? Invented the pearl earring? Was I having a psychotic break? Then I remembered the look on her face in the library. The trembling. The elevator. I saw the text, David. This morning. About your hands. About the elevator on Thursday. My voice was flat, eerily steady. I found the hotel receipt. I found her earring in your nightstand. The color drained from his face, leaving a sickly, grayish pallor. The performance cracked. His arms uncrossed, his hands falling to his sides, then rising to rub his forehead. He was silent for a long moment, his breath a shaky rhythm in the quiet kitchen. The refrigerator kicked on with a hum. When he finally looked at me, his eyes were filled with tears. But they weren't tears of rage, or of immediate, desperate apology. They were tears of profound, overwhelming sorrow. As if he were the victim of this revelation. Oh, God, he whispered. He sank into a chair at the table, his head in his hands. I never wanted you to find out like this. I never wanted to hurt you. The classic opener. I said nothing. The ice in my chest was spreading. It's not what you think, he began, then stopped, hearing the pathetic cliché of it. He tried again. It didn't start as an affair. It just happened. Things don't just happen, David, I said, my first flare of anger breaking through the ice. You make choices. You bought the cologne. You took the hotel room. You texted her while sitting next to me on the couch. He flinched. I know. I know. He looked up, his eyes swimming. You have to understand, it was at the school's fall festival. I went to pick up Lily's pottery project. Evangeline was there, alone in the art room, finishing up. She turned around, and I saw her. And it was like being struck by lightning. He said it with a kind of awe, a reverent horror. As if describing a natural disaster he was powerless to stop. It was literally love at first sight. I didn't believe in that. I thought what we had was real. And it is real. But this was different. It was like my entire body, my entire life, just recalibrated in an instant. Each word was a scalpel. He wasn't trying to be cruel. He was, in his twisted way, being honest star. Considerate enough to give me the terrible, painful truth. He described the magnetic pull, the conversations that started about Lily's glazing technique and spiraled into all-night texting about art, travel, dreams. He described feeling seen in a way he hadn't in years. I love you, he pleaded, reaching across the table for my hand. I pulled mine back as if from a hot stove. I love our family. I love our life. What we have is deep, it's history, it's everything I've built. But with her, it's a feeling I can't explain. It's like I'm alive for the first time. The ultimate betrayal wasn't the sex. It was this, the poetic justification. He had rewritten our 12-year marriage as a foundation of comfortable dirt, and his affair as a dazzling, uncontrollable bolt of lightning. He had demoted me to the keeper of his history, while she held the keys to his aliveness. So the consideration, I said, my voice trembling now. The coffee, the laundry, the surprise days off, that was all guilt. Payment for this other life you were living. No, he insisted, genuine anguish in his voice. It was because I love you. I was trying to pour everything I had into here, into us, to make up for what was missing, to fight what I was feeling there. I was trying to be better for you, so I could deserve you, so I could maybe kill whatever this was with her. The logic was insane, narcissistic, and utterly sincere. He had lied, cheated, and shattered my world, all as a twisted form of spousal improvement. He had been considerate to the point of destruction. I stood up. The room seemed to sway. Get out. Please, let's talk about this. Get out of this house. Now? The considerate husband, trained to heed my distress, finally obeyed. He stood, shoulders slumped, a broken man mourning two women at once. He paused at the doorway, looking back, his face a masterpiece of tragedy. His tragedy. I never stopped loving you, he said, one last, devastating lie wrapped in a truth. He loved me like a favorite book, cherished and familiar on a shelf. But he loved her like oxygen. The front door clicked shut. The silence he left behind was different now. It wasn't screaming. It was vast, empty, and final. I was alone in the museum of our life, and every exhibit was a relic. The peony on the table was the brightest, most violent thing in the room. He went to a hotel. The considerate man, even in exile, texted me the name and room number in case of emergency. I didn't respond. The first 48 hours were a study in surrealism. I moved through the house like a ghost haunting my own life. I'd pick up a photo of us smiling on a hike, and my fingers would go numb. I'd open the fridge to see the orange juice he'd been pouring, and my stomach would turn. The emotional impact didn't come in a clean wave of grief. It came in jagged, unpredictable shards. Shock was a physical numbness. I'd catch myself staring at the wall for 20 minutes, thinking of nothing at all. The world had lost its sound. I'd drop a glass and watch it shatter in silence, then realize the crash had been loud, but I just hadn't heard it. My body was protecting me, pulling a muffling blanket over my senses. Then, confusion would swarm in. How could the man who meticulously organized the kids' vaccine records also lead a double life? How could the same brain that remembered my aversion to cilantro plan elevator trysts? I'd dissect 1,000 moments from the past 6 months, looking for the precise fork in the road. Was it the night I was too tired for sex? The time I complained about his mother? Was it something I did? The consideration he'd shown now seemed like a language I'd fundamentally misunderstood. Every kind gesture had a secret subtitle. The grief was the worst. It wasn't just for the marriage. It was for the murder of my past. Every happy memory was now a crime scene. Our wedding day, the birth of our children, the lazy Sundays, all of it was retroactively poisoned. I'd feel a sudden, crippling ache for a man who no longer existed, for a love story that was, according to his new narrative, just the prologue to his real lightning strike. I'd sob in the shower, the water drowning out the sound, my body shaking with the force of it. I'd clutch my own arms where his hands used to rest, feeling terrifyingly alone in my own skin. There were moments of pathetic weakness He'd text, "How are the kids?" and a part of me, the part still wired to him for 12 years, would want to answer. Would want to tell him Noah lost a tooth, to send a photo, to fall back into the comforting script of co-parenting. I'd draft long, furious paragraphs about the pearl earring, the elevator, the black dress. Then I'd delete them. Any response felt like a thread still connecting us, and I needed to sever every single one. I told the kids Dad was working on a big project and staying in the city for a little while. Lily, my perceptive 10-year-old, searched my face. "You guys are being weird," she said. And that small observation broke me more than any confession. The foundation of her world had developed a hairline crack, and she could feel it. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I'd lie in our bed, my bed now, and the emptiness on his side was a physical presence, a cold, shapeless entity sucking the warmth from the room. I'd remember the foreplay of our earlier, healthy years. Not the frantic, tragic coupling of recent months, but the lazy, sunny Saturday mornings from years ago. His hands, warm and sure, skimming up my thigh, leaving a trail of goosebumps. The way he'd kiss the hollow of my throat, his breath a warm brand, and I'd arch into him, a sigh escaping my lips before I could even catch it. The feeling of his bare chest against my back, his arms pulling me tightly into the curve of his body, our legs tangled, breathing as one. That deep, safe, known sensation of being home in another person. The memory was so vivid it was a physical pain, a phantom limb throbbing for what was amputated. And then, one morning, about a week in, after another night of fractured sleep, I woke up. The sun was up. The birds were chirping. And the numbness had receded, leaving behind a quiet, stark clarity. The grief was still there, a heavy stone in my chest, but it was no longer screaming. It was just there. A fact. Like gravity. I made coffee. I drank it from my favorite mug, not the one he always brought me. The silence in the house shifted. It wasn't accusatory anymore. It was just space. Empty space that belonged to me. I looked around at the serene sky walls, the furniture we'd picked together, the life we'd built. And for the first time, I didn't see a museum of a dead marriage. I saw a house. A house I lived in. A house I could change. The love of my life had fallen in love at first sight. And the wife he left behind was slowly, painfully, falling back into sight of herself. The world outside my window looked different. Not softer, but sharper. More real. It wasn't a backdrop for a fairy tale anymore. It was just the world. And I was still in it. The clarity that settled over me wasn't peaceful. It was severe, like a cold, bright light in an operating room. It showed every incision, every raw edge. But it allowed me to see. My decision didn't come in a single, dramatic moment. It came in 100 small, quiet ones. It was me calling a lawyer, my voice shaking but clear, scheduling a consultation. It was me repainting the accent wall in the living room from serene sky to a bold, determined terracotta clay. It was me taking a solo walk in the evenings, not to cry, but to feel the ground under my feet, to notice the way the oak trees on our street were just beginning to bud. David tried. The considerate man was now the remorseful one. He sent long, poetic emails about his torment, his confusion, his undying love for our family. He begged for counseling, for a chance to integrate what he'd learned about himself into our marriage. That was the word he used, integrate star. As if his lightning strike love for another woman was a new software patch for our relationship. He came over one Saturday to see the kids. He brought me a book of poetry he thought I'd like. I took it, said thank you, and placed it on the hall table to donate later. I watched him with Lily and Noah. He was fully present, wonderful with them. And for the first time, I saw that as separate from who he was to me. His goodness as a father was real. His betrayal as a husband was also real. They could coexist. I didn't have to reconcile them anymore. I just had to accept that both were true. That was seeing with realistic eyes. The world started to look different. Color seemed more vivid, but also less symbolic. The red of the peony was just a color, not a symbol of blood or passion. Our home was just a structure of wood and plaster, not a sacred temple of lost dreams. My wedding ring was a band of metal, not a magical talisman. Stripping the meaning away was painful, but it was also a liberation. The narrative had been shattered, and I was no longer a character in his tragic romance. I was just a woman, standing in her kitchen, figuring out what to make for dinner. I met with the lawyer. She was a brisk, kind woman in a sharp suit. She spoke of assets, custody schedules, and mediation. It was terrifying. It was also mundane. This was the machinery of uncoupling, and as we talked, the monster under the bed became a set of paperwork. Hard, but manageable. One afternoon, I cleaned out his side of the closet. I packed his clothes into boxes, the sweaters that still smelled like his old cologne, the one he wore before the oceanic scent. I didn't sob. I felt a deep, resonant ache, like the last echo of a loud bell. When I was done, the empty space in the closet looked like possibility. It looked like room for my winter coats, or a sewing machine I'd never had space for, or just clean, open air. I realized my decision to move on wasn't a grand, "I'm leaving you" declaration. It was this, the silent, daily choice to stop living in the wound. To stop examining the knife and start tending to the scar. It was choosing to make pancakes for the kids and laugh at their silly faces, even though my heart felt heavy. It was calling an old friend and talking about her job, not my divorce. It was buying a new pillow for my bed, just because I liked the texture. David's love at first sight had been a cataclysm that destroyed my known world. My moving on was the slow, unglamorous process of learning to breathe in the new atmosphere. It was quieter. It was lonelier. But it was real star. I wasn't waiting for a lightning bolt of my own. I was learning to appreciate the steady, sustaining warmth of the sun. I was seeing the world not as a stage for epic romance or tragedy, but as a place where life, in all its messy, painful, and surprisingly quiet beauty, simply goes on. And I was still in it. And I was going on, too. It's been 4 months. The divorce papers are drafted. We are using a mediator, because of course we are. David, ever considerate, wants this to be as painless as possible for everyone. He's moved into an apartment. The kids are adjusting in that resilient, heartbreaking way children do. They have 2 homes now. I have 1. I've started seeing a therapist. Dr. Rosen has a kind face and asks questions that make me stare at the ceiling. "What did you lose?" she asked in our last session. I gave her the list: my husband, my best friend, my future, my past, my trust, my security. "And what," she asked softly, "did you not lose?" I sat there, stumped. Then it began to trickle in. I did not lose my children. I did not lose my own mind, though I came close. I did not lose my ability to make a decent lasagna. I did not lose my love for autumn walks. I did not lose my loyalty to my friends. I did not lose my fundamental self, the woman who existed before she was David's wife. She was buried, but not lost. I am, in fact, excavating her. I went to a parent-teacher conference alone last week. For science, not art. I walked those hallways, past the library where my old life ended. My heart hammered, but I kept walking. I did not see Ms. Evangeline. I heard she transferred to a private school at the semester break. I wonder if the lightning strike could survive the mundane glare of reality, the moving trucks, the shared custody schedules, the guilt. I don't care, truly. Their story is not my concern. My concern is the new geography of my heart. It's not a whole, serene continent anymore. It's an archipelago, islands of sharp grief, shores of numb acceptance, and inlets of unexpected, quiet peace. I can be loading the dishwasher, and suddenly be sucker-punched by a memory, his laugh at a stupid joke, the way he always knew I was cold before I did, and would wordlessly drape a sweater over my shoulders. The pain is acute, but it passes. It's just weather now. I've learned a few things. Maybe they are obvious, but you don't know them until you live them. **1. Consideration can be a weapon. When it's used to maintain a facade, to assuage guilt, to keep you placid and unsuspecting while another life is built in the shadows. It is not love. It is emotional counterintelligence. The most dangerous lies are delivered with a kiss on the forehead. **2. Love at first sight is not a force of nature, it's a choice. He chose to nurture that spark. He chose to water it with texts and hotel rooms and whispered promises. He chose to let it burn our house down. Don't let anyone tell you they were swept away. People wade into the current. They decide not to swim back. **3. The details are what hollow you out. It's not the fact of the affair. It's the pearl earring. The specific shade of her lipstick you find on a receipt. The name of a song he dedicated to her. Protect yourself from the details if you can. They are shrapnel. **4. You will miss the ghost of him. You will miss the man you thought he was, the future you thought you had. Grieve that ghost. Then burn the seance table. Stop trying to contact the dead. 5. The world through realistic eyes is both crueler and more beautiful. It's cruel because there are no guaranteed happy endings. But it's beautiful because every small, genuine moment is entirely your own. The sun on your face during your solo walk is yours. The quiet triumph of a fixed leaky faucet is yours. The sound of your children sleeping safely in their beds is yours. No one is sharing it, or betraying it, or using it as cover for a secret life. It's just true. I'm not healed. I don't know if I ever will be, entirely. Some fractures don't disappear, they just become part of the structure, the place where you learned how much weight you could bear. David and I will finalize the divorce in a few weeks. He looks at me sometimes with a confused grief, like he's surprised I'm really going through with dismantling the life his consideration was supposed to preserve. He doesn't understand that his consideration was the final, unforgivable lie. You can't build a new life on a foundation of meticulous deceit, no matter how many cups of coffee you place on top of it. So here I am. In my terracotta clay living room. The sky outside is shifting from black to deep blue. Dawn is coming. It's just a dawn. Not a metaphor. It's just the earth turning, as it does. And I am here, turning with it. The final meeting with the mediator is tomorrow. It feels less like an ending and more like the signing of a peace treaty after a war I never agreed to fight. The territory has been decided. The maps redrawn. David asked, through his lawyer, if we could have one conversation, just us, before it's all official. I thought about it for a day. Then I agreed. Not for closure, I don't believe in that fairy tale anymore, but for my own archaeological dig. I needed to see the ruins in daylight one last time. We met at a neutral place, a bland coffee shop we'd never been to together. He was already there, looking older. The lightning strike, it seems, carries a voltage that ages you. He stood up when I approached. Still considerate. Thanks for coming, he said. His voice was the same, but it sounded different to me now. Just a voice. Sure. We made stiff small talk about the kids. Then the silence stretched, filled with the ghosts of 1,000 shared mornings. I need you to know something, he began, his fingers tight around his ceramic mug. It wasn't about you not being enough. You were everything. You are. I sipped my tea. I know that, David. Now? It was about you wanting to be everything to two people. It was about you believing you deserved that. He looked stunned, as if he'd expected me to still be debating my own inadequacy. I hate what I've done, he whispered, his eyes bright. I destroyed the best thing in my life. You did, I said calmly. And you also gave her the best thing in yours, for a while. The poetry of it is yours to carry. Not mine. I realized then that I pitied him. Not in a condescending way, but in a human way. He had traded a deep, rooted forest for a single, spectacular flash of light. Now he was standing in the burnt-out clearing, holding nothing but ashes and a memory of brilliance. He would always be the villain in my story and the tragic hero in his own. That is a lonely country to live in. Do you think you'll ever, he trailed off, unable to finish. Ever forgive me? Ever love me again, ? I think I'll be happy again, I said, answering the question he couldn't ask. And I think your happiness is no longer my concern. It's yours to build, without trampling on anyone else's. There was no dramatic goodbye. We both stood up. He moved as if to hug me, but I extended my hand. A clean, firm business transaction. His handshake was warm, familiar, and final. I walked out into the afternoon. The advice I have, for anyone sitting where I was, staring at a phone bill, or a strange receipt, or a change in cologne, is this. Don't romanticize the tragedy. You are not the heroine in a sad song. You are a person who has been profoundly betrayed. Your job is not to understand the poetry of his downfall, but to survive it. Feel the feelings, the rage, the grief, the humiliation, but don't let them become your identity. Asterisk asterisk look at the consideration. Asterisk asterisk is it consistent, or is it heightened? Is it the gentle baseline of your life, or is it a new, intense campaign? Sometimes love shouts. But sometimes, guilt whispers through extra acts of service. Asterisk asterisk you will rewrite your history, and that's okay. Asterisk asterisk the past is not a fixed document. It's a story you tell yourself. The story you told yourself, of a perfect love, has been proven false. So write a new one. Not a story of perfect love, but of a real woman who loved deeply, was wounded deeply, and learned to stand again on her own ground. That story has its own dignity, its own power. Asterisk asterisk let the world become real again. Asterisk asterisk it hurts when the magical thinking falls away. But there is a profound strength in seeing a tree as a tree, a sunset as a sunset, and your own two hands as the tools that will rebuild your life. You don't need a lightning bolt. You just need to remember how to walk in the rain. My story with David is over. The love story died in a school library. The tragedy played out in whispers and hotel rooms. But my story, the story of the woman who survived it, is just beginning. It's not a romantic tragedy. It's a realistic one, which means it contains the possibility of quiet, earned joy. I am going home now. To my kids. To my terracotta wall. To the life I'm building, one honest, unremarkable, precious day at a time. The sun is fully up. It's not a metaphor for hope. It's just the sun. And for now, that is more than enough. Asterisk asterisk update. 8 months later asterisk asterisk I finalized the divorce. I kept the house. The kids are thriving. I'm seeing someone new, not a lightning bolt, but a slow, steady sunrise. It's kind. It's respectful. It's real. And I am, against all odds, happy. Not the happiness I once knew, but a sturdier, more self-aware version. David and Evangeline lasted about 5 months. I heard he's dating again. I truly wish him peace. But his weather is no longer mine. My skies, finally, are my own.